What would you do if your ex's new wife kept sabotaging your child's homework and you got blamed for it? I never thought I would be sitting in my car outside Oakwood Elementary at 7:30 in the morning, clutching a folder full of printed Facebook screenshots like they were evidence in a criminal trial. But here I was. The parent-teacher conference was in 45 minutes, and my hands would not stop shaking. My daughter's future, my reputation as a mother, and my sanity all hinged on what happened in that classroom today. Let me back up and explain how I got here, because this whole mess started so innocently that I almost missed it. My name is Nora Collins, and I am 37 years old. I have been divorced from my ex-husband Benjamin Robinson for 3 years now, and we share 50-50 custody of our daughter Lily, who just turned 10 last month. The divorce was not pretty, nobody's ever is, but we eventually found our rhythm. Benjamin gets Lily every other week, and I get her the weeks in between. It works well enough, or at least it did until he married Madison Parker 8 months ago. Madison is 32, works in marketing, and has never had children of her own. From the start, she seemed overeager to bond with Lily, which I tried to be grateful for. I mean, plenty of stepmothers are cold or dismissive, right? So when Madison started texting me photos of Lily baking cookies or doing craft projects at their house, I told myself this was a good thing. Lily deserved to feel loved in both homes. But then the homework situation started. It was subtle at first. Lily came home from Benjamin's house in late February with a book report on Charlotte's Web that she had supposedly finished over there. When I read it, something felt off. The vocabulary was too advanced, the sentence structure too complex. My bright, creative daughter wrote stories full of imagination and energy, but they usually included run-on sentences and the occasional spelling error. This report sounded like it had been written by someone much older. I asked Lily about it that evening while we were making dinner together. "Hey, sweetie," I said, trying to keep my tone casual as I chopped vegetables, "this book report is really good. Did you have help with it?" Lily looked up from the pasta she was stirring and shrugged. "Madison helped me make it better," she said. She said it was good, but that she could make it sound more professional. The word professional coming out of my 10-year-old's mouth made my stomach clench, but I forced a smile. "That was nice of her," I said. "But you know, your teacher wants to see your own work, right? It is okay if it is not perfect." Lily nodded, but she looked uncomfortable, like she did not want to talk about it anymore. I dropped it, but I filed the incident away in the back of my mind. 2 weeks later, Lily had a science project due about the water cycle. She had worked on it at my house, creating a poster with drawings and explanations in her own handwriting. It was colorful, informative, and very clearly the work of a 5th grader. She was proud of it, and so was I. But when she came back from Benjamin's house the following week, she told me she had forgotten to bring it with her, so Madison had helped her make a new one. "Can I see a picture of it?" I asked, my heart already sinking. Lily pulled out her phone. Benjamin had gotten her one for emergencies and communication between houses, and showed me a photo. My mouth fell open. The new poster looked like something from a high school science fair. It had printed diagrams, laminated labels, and technical terminology that I knew Lily had not learned yet. Even the handwriting on the labels was not Lily's. It was too neat, too mature. "Madison did this," I said before I could stop myself. "She helped," Lily corrected, her voice small. "She said the other one looked too messy and that I would get a better grade with this one." I took a deep breath and counted to 5. "But honey, the point is not just to get a good grade," I said gently. "The point is to learn and to show your teacher what you can do. If Madison does the work for you, you are not really learning." "But I did learn," Lily insisted, her eyes welling up with tears. "I told Madison all the information and she just made it look nicer." I pulled her into a hug and told her it was okay, that we would figure it out. But inside, I was furious. Who did Madison think she was, undermining my parenting and making Lily feel like her own work was not good enough? That night, after Lily was in bed, I called Benjamin. "We need to talk about Madison helping Lily with homework," I said as soon as he picked up. "Hello to you too," he said with a sigh. "What is the problem now?" "The problem is that she is doing Lily's homework for her," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "She completely redid Lily's science project and made it look like something a high schooler would turn in. The teacher is going to know it is not Lily's work." Madison was just trying to help, Benjamin said defensively. She wants Lily to do well. Lily was already doing well, I snapped. She had made a perfectly good project here, but apparently it was not impressive enough for Madison. Look, Nora, Benjamin said, and I could hear the irritation in his voice. Madison cares about Lily and wants to be involved in her life. Is it really such a bad thing that she is invested in her education? It is a bad thing when she is making Lily feel like her best is not good enough, I shot back. And it is going to be a problem when the teacher realizes the work is too advanced. You are overreacting, Benjamin said flatly. Madison knows what she is doing. She has a degree in communications and she understands how to present things professionally. Maybe you should be grateful that Lily has another adult in her life who cares about her success. I hung up on him. I knew I should not have, that it was immature, but I could not listen to him defend Madison's interference anymore. I sat on my couch, staring at the photo of that glossy, perfect science project, and tried to calm down. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe I was just jealous that Madison was trying so hard to bond with Lily. Maybe this was my own insecurity talking. But then March rolled around, and everything got worse. Lily's teacher, Mrs. Eleanor Hughes, a kind woman in her late 50s who had taught 5th grade for over 20 years, sent me an email requesting a meeting. The subject line read concerns about Lily's recent work, and my heart dropped into my stomach when I read it. Dear Nora, the email began, I hope this message finds you well. I wanted to reach out because I have noticed some inconsistencies in Lily's recent assignments that I would like to discuss with you. Lily is a bright and capable student, but there have been some significant variations in the quality and complexity of her work that have raised concerns. Would you be available for a brief meeting next week? Best regards, Eleanor Hughes. I read the email 3 times, my chest tightening with each pass. This was exactly what I had been afraid of. I immediately replied saying I was available whenever she needed, and we scheduled a meeting for the following Tuesday after school. When I walked into Mrs. Hughes's classroom that afternoon, she greeted me with a warm but concerned smile and gestured for me to sit down at one of the small student desks. She had a folder in front of her, and when she opened it, I saw several of Lily's recent assignments. Thank you for coming in, she said kindly. I want to start by saying that Lily is a wonderful student. She is creative, engaged, and well-liked by her peers. However, I have noticed something troubling. She spread out 3 assignments in front of me. One was an essay about Lily's favorite animal, which she had written at school. The handwriting was Lily's, the vocabulary was age-appropriate, and there were a few spelling errors. The second was a book report on Matilda, which Lily had turned in 2 weeks ago. The handwriting was still Lily's, but the vocabulary and sentence structure were notably more sophisticated. The third was a persuasive essay about why the school should have longer recess, and it read like something I would have written, not a 10-year-old. As you can see, Mrs. Hughes said, pointing to each paper in turn, there is a clear progression here, or perhaps regression depending on how you look at it. This first essay is typical of Lily's ability. This second one shows some improvement, but this third one, she tapped the persuasive essay, this is not written at a 5th grade level. I felt my face flush with embarrassment and anger, though none of it was directed at Mrs. Hughes. I understand, I said quietly. I have noticed the same thing. Mrs. Hughes looked at me carefully. Nora, I need to ask you directly. Are you helping Lily with her homework to the point where you are essentially doing it for her? No, I said quickly, firmly. Absolutely not. I help her if she asks questions, but I would never write her assignments for her. I want her to learn and grow, not just get perfect grades. Mrs. Hughes nodded slowly, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. I appreciate you saying that, she said. But I have to tell you, if this pattern continues, I may need to involve the principal. Academic dishonesty is something we take very seriously, even at the elementary level. My heart was pounding. I know who is doing this, I said, the words tumbling out before I could second-guess them. It is my ex-husband's new wife. She has been redoing Lily's homework at their house to make it look more impressive. Mrs. Hughes's eyebrows rose slightly. I see, she said. That puts us in a difficult position. I cannot control what happens outside of school, but I can only grade work that I believe Lily has completed herself. If assignments continue to come in that are clearly beyond her ability level, I will have no choice but to give them a failing grade or report the issue to administration. I understand, I said, fighting back tears of frustration. I will talk to my ex-husband and make sure this stops. But when I tried to talk to Benjamin about it that evening, he was even more defensive than before. Are you seriously trying to get Madison in trouble with Lily's teacher? He said angrily. She is trying to help our daughter, and you are making her out to be some kind of villain. She is doing Lily's homework for her, I said through gritted teeth. The teacher thinks I am the one doing it, and she threatened to fail Lily or report us for academic dishonesty. That is ridiculous, Benjamin said. Madison is not doing the homework for her. She is editing it, making it better. There is a difference. Not to the teacher there is not, I said. And honestly, Benjamin, there should not be a difference to you either. Lily needs to learn to do her own work. Fine, he said abruptly. I will talk to Madison about it. But he did not. Or if he did, it did not make any difference, because the very next week, Lily came home with a history project about the American Revolution that looked like it had been created by a college student. It had a typed bibliography, printed images with citations, and a written component that used words like insurrection and parliamentary sovereignty. I was done being nice about it. I texted Madison directly for the first time ever. Hi Madison, I wrote, trying to keep my tone friendly but firm. I need to talk to you about Lily's homework. Her teacher has raised concerns that her recent assignments are too advanced and do not reflect her actual ability level. I know you are trying to help, but I need you to let Lily do her own work from now on. It is important for her learning and development. 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, a response came through. Hi Nora, Madison wrote. I understand your concern, but I think you might be misunderstanding what I am doing. I am not doing Lily's work for her. I am teaching her how to present her ideas in a more professional and polished way. This is a valuable skill that will serve her well in the future. I have a background in communications and I know how to make written work shine. I am actually doing her a favor. I stared at my phone in disbelief. She genuinely did not see the problem. Madison, I wrote back, I appreciate that you want to help, but 5th graders are not supposed to write like communications professionals. They are supposed to write like 5th graders. Lily's teacher is concerned, and if this continues, Lily could face serious consequences. Please let her do her own work. The response came back quickly. I think this is really about you feeling threatened by my relationship with Lily. I am sorry if my involvement makes you uncomfortable, but I am her stepmother and I have a right to be involved in her education. Maybe instead of criticizing me, you should focus on supporting Lily's growth. I did not respond. I knew that anything I said would only escalate things, and I needed to think strategically. I also knew that Benjamin would take Madison's side no matter what, so going through him was pointless. That is when I decided to start documenting everything. Over the next 2 weeks, I took photos of every assignment Lily brought home from Benjamin's house. I saved every text message and email. I kept notes on what Lily told me about Madison's help. I was building a case, though I was not entirely sure what I was going to do with it yet. And then, on a Thursday evening in early April, I stumbled onto something that changed everything. I was scrolling through Facebook, mindlessly catching up on what friends and family were posting, when I saw that Madison had tagged me in a post. My stomach immediately knotted with anxiety. I clicked on the notification and felt my blood run cold. There, on Madison's public profile, was a photo of Lily's most recent English essay, the one about her favorite book. The essay had gotten an A+, and Madison had photographed it with the grade visible at the top. The caption read, "So proud of this brilliant girl. Watching her grow and thrive has been the greatest joy of my life. Being a stepmom is the best role I have ever had. Proud stepmom moment." I sat there staring at my phone, my hands trembling with rage. She had posted my daughter's schoolwork on Facebook, taking credit for Lily's success as if she were the primary parent. As if she were the one who had raised Lily for 10 years, who had stayed up with her through fevers and nightmares, who had taught her to read and tie her shoes and believe in herself. But it got worse. I clicked on Madison's profile and started scrolling through her recent posts. There were dozens of them. Photos of Lily's art projects with captions like "My Little Artist." Pictures of Lily's book reports with captions like "Raising a Reader." Even a photo of that science project, the one Madison had essentially created herself, with the caption "So grateful to be part of this incredible child's educational journey." Every single post painted Madison as the devoted stepmother, deeply involved in Lily's life and education. Every single post made it look like she was the one guiding Lily's success. And in the comments, Madison's friends and family were showering her with praise. "What an amazing stepmom. Lily is so lucky to have you. You are such a positive influence in her life." I felt sick. This was not about helping Lily at all. This was about Madison building a public image of herself as the perfect stepmother, using my daughter's accomplishments as props for her own ego. I started taking screenshots. I captured every post, every caption, every glowing comment. And then I noticed something else. Some of the work Madison had posted, including that persuasive essay about longer recess, had been shared by other people. One of Madison's friends, a woman named Charlotte Hayes who appeared to be a teacher herself, had commented on the recess essay saying this is incredibly well written. What a smart cookie. I clicked on Charlotte's profile and saw that she had shared Madison's post to her own page with the caption, "My friend Madison is doing such an amazing job with her stepdaughter. This essay is better than what some of my high school students write." My heart was racing now. I took a screenshot of that too. And then I kept digging. I found a post from 3 weeks ago where Madison had shared a photo of Lily's history project, the one about the American Revolution. In the comments, someone had asked where Lily had found such great sources, and Madison had replied, "I helped her learn how to do proper research and citations." It is never too early to teach good academic habits. But then, buried in the replies, I found something damning. A woman named Amelia Foster had commented, "Madison, this looks suspiciously similar to a project template I have seen before. Did you use a sample format?" Madison had replied, "I may have used a college-level template as a guide to show her what quality work looks like. Nothing wrong with setting high standards." I took a screenshot of that exchange and sat back, my mind racing. Madison had not just edited Lily's work, she had used templates and samples from higher grade levels to create assignments that Lily could not possibly have done herself. And she had been broadcasting it all on Facebook, building a false narrative of her own involvement and success. But the worst part, the part that made my hands shake so hard I almost dropped my phone, was when I found a post from late March. Madison had shared a photo of that persuasive essay, the one Mrs. Hughes had flagged as too advanced, and in the caption she had written, "Helped Lily draft this essay about school policy. Love teaching her how to construct arguments and support her points with evidence. Watching her writing skills grow has been so rewarding. Helped her draft it. Not edited it. Not polished it. Drafted it." She had essentially admitted to writing the essay herself. I immediately called my best friend, Sophia Martinez, who is a middle school teacher and the most level-headed person I know. "Soph," I said as soon as she picked up, "I need your help. I just found out that Madison has been posting Lily's homework all over Facebook and basically admitting that she is the one doing it." "Wait, slow down," Sophia said. "What do you mean posting it on Facebook?" I explained everything, the screenshots, the captions, the comments, the college-level template, all of it. Sophia listened without interrupting, and when I finished, she let out a low whistle. "Nora," she said slowly, "this is bad. Like, really bad. She is not just interfering with Lily's education. She is potentially violating academic integrity policies and definitely violating Lily's privacy by posting her schoolwork online without your permission." "I know," I said, my voice cracking. "And the worst part is that Lily's teacher thinks I am the one doing this. I have a parent-teacher conference in 2 weeks, and if I cannot prove that it is Madison, I could lose credibility as a parent." The teacher hinted that this could be seen as educational neglect or academic dishonesty. "Okay," Sophia said, switching into problem-solving mode. "Here's what you need to do. Print out every single screenshot. Organize them chronologically. Write up a timeline of events, including dates and specific incidents. Then request a private meeting with Mrs. Hughes before that parent-teacher conference. Show her everything. Teachers deal with helicopter parents and over-involved step-parents all the time, and she will understand what is happening once she sees the evidence. What if Benjamin gets mad? I asked, though I already knew the answer. He probably will, Sophia said bluntly. But this is not about him or Madison. This is about protecting Lily's education and your reputation as a parent. You have to do this. She was right. I spent the rest of that night printing screenshots and organizing them into a folder. I wrote a detailed timeline, noting every incident where Madison had interfered with Lily's homework, every conversation I had had with Benjamin, and every red flag Mrs. Hughes had raised. By the time I finished, it was past midnight, but I had a comprehensive document that told the whole story. The next morning, I emailed Mrs. Hughes and asked if I could meet with her privately before the scheduled parent-teacher conference. I explained that I had information about the homework situation that I needed to share with her. She responded within an hour, agreeing to meet with me that Friday afternoon. When Friday came, I was a nervous wreck. I dropped Lily off at school, went to work at the dental office where I am a hygienist, and spent the entire day watching the clock. At 2:30, I left early and drove back to Oakwood Elementary, clutching my folder of evidence like it was a life raft. Mrs. Hughes was waiting for me in her classroom. She looked curious and a bit concerned, and she gestured for me to sit down. "Thank you for meeting with me," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "I know this is unusual, but I have information that I think will explain the inconsistencies in Lily's work." I opened the folder and started laying out the screenshots on her desk. I walked her through everything, the timeline, the Facebook posts, Madison's comments admitting to using college-level templates, the praise from her friends, all of it. Mrs. Hughes listened intently, her expression growing more serious with each new piece of evidence. When I finished, she sat back in her chair and let out a long breath. "Nora," she said quietly, "I owe you an apology. I suspected something was going on, but I assumed it was you because, well, you are the primary parent in my records. It never occurred to me that it might be coming from the other household." "I appreciate that," I said, relief flooding through me. "I have tried to talk to my ex-husband about it, but he does not see it as a problem. He thinks Madison is just being helpful." "This is not helpful," Mrs. Hughes said firmly. "This is harmful. Not only is it undermining Lily's learning, but it is also creating a false record of her abilities. If she moves on to middle school with teachers thinking she is capable of this level of work, she is going to struggle when she cannot maintain it on her own." "What can we do?" I asked. Mrs. Hughes picked up one of the screenshots, the one where Madison admitted to using a college-level template. "I am going to need to report this to Principal Olivia Morgan," she said. "This falls under our academic integrity policy, and it involves a non-parental adult interfering with a student's work. The principal will likely want to have a meeting with both you and your ex-husband to address this." My stomach clenched. "Benjamin is not going to take this well," I said. "That may be true," Mrs. Hughes said gently, "but this is about what is best for Lily. She deserves to be allowed to do her own work and to learn at her own pace without someone else imposing unrealistic standards on her." I nodded, tears pricking at my eyes. "Thank you," I said. "Thank you for understanding." Mrs. Hughes reached across the desk and squeezed my hand. "You are a good mother, Nora," she said. "Standing up for your daughter's education takes courage, especially when it means going against your co-parent." I left the meeting feeling lighter than I had in weeks, but I knew the real battle was still ahead. That evening, Mrs. Hughes sent an email to both Benjamin and me, requesting a meeting with Principal Morgan the following Monday. Benjamin called me within minutes of receiving it. "What the hell did you do?" he shouted into the phone. "I showed Mrs. Hughes the truth," I said calmly. "Madison has been doing Lily's homework and posting about it on Facebook. The teacher needed to know." "You were behind my back to the school," Benjamin said furiously. "You made Madison look bad to Lily's teacher and the principal. Do you have any idea how humiliating this is? Do you have any idea how humiliating it was for me to be accused of doing Lily's homework when I was not?" I shot back. "Do you have any idea how harmful Madison's interference has been for Lily?" "Madison was trying to help," Benjamin insisted. "No," I said, my voice rising. "Madison was trying to make herself look good on Facebook. She has been using Lily's schoolwork to build an image of herself as the perfect stepmom, and she has been sabotaging Lily's education in the process." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. "That is not true," Benjamin finally said, but his voice had lost some of its anger. "Then come to the meeting on Monday," I said. "Look at the evidence yourself. Talk to the teacher and the principal. If I am wrong, I will apologize. But I am not wrong." He hung up without saying goodbye. Monday morning arrived, and I found myself sitting in Principal Morgan's office at 9 o'clock, with Benjamin sitting stiffly beside me and Mrs. Hughes in the chair across from us. Principal Morgan, a sharp-eyed woman in her mid-40s, had my folder of screenshots spread out on her desk. "Thank you both for coming in," she said, her tone professional but serious. "I have reviewed the information that Mrs. Hughes shared with me, and I have some concerns that we need to address." She turned to Benjamin. "Mr. Robinson, I understand that your wife Madison has been significantly involved in Lily's homework assignments. Is that correct?" "She has been helping," Benjamin said defensively. "She has a background in communications, and she has been teaching Lily how to improve her writing." Principal Morgan picked up one of the screenshots. "According to this Facebook post," she said, "Madison states that she helped draft an essay about school policy. That goes beyond editing or teaching. That is creating the work itself." Benjamin glanced at the screenshot, and I saw his jaw tighten. "She may have phrased that poorly," he said. "I am sure she did not mean it literally." "Perhaps," Principal Morgan said. "But there are multiple posts here where Madison takes credit for Lily's work, uses college-level templates, and presents assignments that are far beyond 5th grade level. This creates several problems. First, it violates our academic integrity policy. Second, it makes it impossible for Mrs. Hughes to accurately assess Lily's abilities and provide appropriate support. Third, and most importantly, it undermines Lily's confidence and independence as a learner." Benjamin was silent for a long moment. "I did not know she was posting about it on Facebook," he finally said quietly. "That is part of the problem," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "Madison has been building this public image of herself as Lily's educational guide, but she has been doing it at Lily's expense. And at mine." Principal Morgan nodded. "Moving forward," she said, "we need clear boundaries. Lily's homework must be completed by Lily, with age-appropriate support from parents or step-parents. That means answering questions, providing materials, and encouraging her, but not rewriting, restructuring, or upgrading her work. Any assignments that come in that appear to be beyond Lily's ability level will be returned for revision or given a grade that reflects the lack of independent work." She turned to Benjamin. "I am also recommending that you have a conversation with your wife about appropriate boundaries and about removing Lily's schoolwork from social media. Our student privacy policy asks that parents get permission from both households before posting identifiable schoolwork online, and it is clear that did not happen here." Benjamin nodded slowly, looking more deflated than angry now. "I will talk to her," he said. The meeting wrapped up shortly after that, with Principal Morgan emphasizing that this was about supporting Lily's education and not about assigning blame. But as Benjamin and I walked out of the office together, I could see the realization settling over him. "I did not know it was this bad," he said quietly as we reached the parking lot. "I tried to tell you," I said, without any satisfaction in my voice. "I just wanted what was best for Lily." He nodded. "I will handle it," he said. "Madison and I need to have a serious conversation." "I hope so," I said. "Because Lily deserves better than this." That afternoon, I picked Lily up from school and took her out for ice cream. We sat in the park, watching ducks paddle around the pond, and I tried to figure out how to explain what had happened without making her feel caught in the middle. "Sweetie," I said carefully, "I need to talk to you about something. You know how Madison has been helping you with your homework?" Lily nodded, licking her strawberry cone. "Well, your teacher was worried because some of that homework was a little too grown up," I said. "It made it hard for her to see what you were learning. So from now on, when you do homework at Dad's house, Madison can help if you have questions, but the work needs to be yours." "Okay." Lily looked down at her ice cream. "Does Madison think my work is not good enough?" she asked quietly. My heart broke a little. "No, honey," I said firmly. "Your work is wonderful just the way it is. Madison was trying to help, but she was helping too much. Your teachers want to see what you can do, not what a grown-up can do." Lily nodded, but she still looked troubled. I hugged her and changed the subject, but I made a mental note to keep a close eye on her confidence over the next few weeks. The fallout happened faster than I expected. 2 days after the meeting with Principal Morgan, Madison's Facebook posts about Lily disappeared. Not just made private, completely deleted. I checked multiple times to make sure, and they were gone. The whole carefully constructed narrative of Madison as the perfect stepmom erased. Then, 3 days later, Benjamin called me. "We need to talk," he said, and his voice sounded tired. "Okay," I said cautiously. "Madison and I have been having some difficult conversations," he said. "About boundaries and about her role in Lily's life. She did not realize how her involvement was affecting Lily or how it looked to you and the school. I am glad you talked to her," I said carefully. "There is something else," Benjamin continued. "One of Madison's friends, the one who is a teacher, apparently flagged some of Madison's posts to her school district because she was concerned about plagiarism and academic integrity. Madison works with some school clients in her marketing job, and this could affect her professionally. I did not know what to say to that. I had not intended for Madison's career to be impacted. I had just wanted her to stop interfering with Lily's homework. But I also could not muster much sympathy. I am sorry that is happening," I finally said, because it seemed like the right thing to say. "Madison wants to apologize to you," Benjamin said. "She realizes she overstepped." "I appreciate that," I said, though I was not sure I was ready to hear it yet. The apology came in the form of a text message 2 days later. "Hi Nora," Madison wrote. "I owe you an apology. I realize now that I overstepped my boundaries with Lily's homework. I thought I was helping her succeed, but I understand now that I was undermining her learning and making things difficult for you. I am sorry. I hope we can move forward with better communication and clearer boundaries." It was not a perfect apology. It did not fully acknowledge the damage she had done or the self-serving nature of her social media posts, but it was something. "Thank you for the apology," I wrote back. "I appreciate it. I think we all want what is best for Lily, and I am glad we can work together to make sure she gets the support she needs." And that was that. The crisis was over, or at least the acute phase of it was. Mrs. Hughes kept a close eye on Lily's assignments for the rest of the school year, and every piece of work that came in after that meeting was clearly Lily's own. Her writing was age-appropriate, sometimes messy, occasionally misspelled, and absolutely perfect. Her grades were still good, mostly as in BS, because Lily is a smart kid who does not need an adult ghostwriting her homework to succeed. The parent-teacher conference that I had been dreading ended up being a positive experience. Mrs. Hughes praised Lily's creativity and effort, noted some areas where she could improve her organization skills, and told me I was doing a great job as a parent. I almost cried with relief. Benjamin and Madison's relationship hit a rough patch after all of this, according to what Lily occasionally mentioned. They went to couples counseling, and Madison backed way off from being involved in Lily's schoolwork. She still tried to bond with Lily through other activities, baking and shopping and movie nights, but she stopped trying to be Lily's educational guru. As for me, I learned some valuable lessons through this whole ordeal. I learned that documentation is everything when you are dealing with co-parenting conflicts. I learned that speaking up for your child, even when it is uncomfortable or causes conflict, is always the right choice. I learned that social media can be a dangerous tool for people who are more concerned with appearances than reality. Most importantly, I learned to trust my instincts. I knew from the beginning that something was wrong with Madison's involvement in Lily's homework, but I second-guessed myself because I did not want to seem jealous or petty. I wish I had acted sooner, but I'm proud that I eventually found the courage to fight for my daughter's education and my own credibility. It has been 6 months since that meeting in Principal Morgan's office, and life has settled into a new normal. Lily is thriving in 6th grade now, doing her own homework and learning to advocate for herself when she needs help. Benjamin and I have better communication than we did before, ironically enough, because we both learned that we need to be on the same page when it comes to Lily's well-being. Madison is still in the picture, and probably always will be as long as she is married to Benjamin. But she has learned her boundaries, and more importantly, Benjamin learned to enforce them. Lily's homework stays between Lily and her teachers, with appropriate parental support but no more ghostwriting. Looking back, I think the hardest part of this whole situation was feeling like I was not being believed. When Mrs. Hughes first suggested that I might be doing Lily's homework, I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. Here I was, trying to raise my daughter to be honest and hardworking and independent, and I was being accused of undermining those very values. But the truth came out, as it usually does. And in the end, everyone involved learned something valuable. Madison learned that being a step-parent is not about proving yourself to the world or building a perfect image on social media. It is about supporting the child's growth and respecting the boundaries set by the biological parents. Benjamin learned that he needs to pay closer attention to what is happening in his household and not just blindly defend his wife when concerns are raised. And I learned that fighting for what is right is worth the discomfort and conflict it might cause. Lily learned something too, though I wish she had not had to. She learned that adults make mistakes, that even people who love her can sometimes do things that are not in her best interest, and that it is okay to do your best even if your best is not perfect. Those are hard lessons for a 10-year-old, but they are important ones. These days, when Lily brings home an assignment with a B- or a few spelling errors, I feel nothing but pride. Because I know it is her work, her effort, her learning. And that is worth more than any artificially inflated grade or impressive vocabulary word could ever be. The last time I saw Madison, it was at Lily's school concert last month. We exchanged polite hellos and sat on opposite sides of the auditorium. When Lily came out on stage to sing with her class, I saw Madison pull out her phone to take a photo. For a split second, my old anxiety flared up. Was she going to post this on Facebook too, I wondered. Was she going to caption it with some proud stepmom declaration? But then I saw her glance over at Benjamin, who shook his head slightly, and she put the phone away. She just watched, like the rest of us, as Lily sang her heart out in a slightly off-keyed but completely genuine performance of a song about friendship. After the concert, we all went out for pizza, me on one side of the table with Lily next to me, Benjamin and Madison on the other side. It was awkward at first, the kind of forced civility that happens when people are trying to move past something difficult. But then Lily started telling us about her upcoming social studies project, and I watched carefully to see how Madison would respond. I am going to do mine about women inventors, Lily said excitedly. Mrs. Hughes said we can pick any topic we want as long as we can find at least 3 good sources. That sounds wonderful, I said, squeezing her hand. Madison smiled, and I could see her choosing her words carefully. That is a great topic, she said. If you need help finding books at the library, I would be happy to take you this weekend. It was a small moment, but it felt significant. Madison was offering support, not control. She was suggesting help with research, not offering to write the project herself. It was exactly the kind of step-parent involvement that should have been happening all along. Thank you, Lily said, beaming. That would be fun. Benjamin caught my eye across the table, and I saw relief in his expression. We were figuring this out, slowly and imperfectly, but we were figuring it out. The drive home that night, just Lily and me in the car with the radio playing softly, felt peaceful in a way it had not for months. Lily was humming along to a song, her mind probably already planning her project about women inventors, and I felt a deep sense of gratitude that we had made it through to the other side. You know, sweetie, I said as we pulled into our driveway, I am really proud of you. For what? Lily asked, looking up from her phone where she had been typing notes about her project ideas. For being yourself, I said. For working hard and being creative and not being afraid to let your work be yours, even if it is not perfect. Lily smiled at me, and in that smile I saw the confident, authentic kid she was meant to be, the one who had been temporarily obscured by Madison's well-meaning but misguided interference. Thanks, Mom, she said. I like my work better when it is mine anyway. Madison's way made me feel like I was not smart enough. My heart clenched. You are more than smart enough, I said firmly. You are exactly as smart as you need to be, and you are going to keep getting smarter by doing your own work and learning from your own mistakes. I know, Lily said simply, and we went inside. In the weeks that followed, I noticed small but meaningful changes in Lily's confidence. She stopped apologizing for spelling errors or messy handwriting. She stopped comparing her work to some imaginary standard of perfection. She started asking more questions in class, according to Mrs. Hughes, because she was not worried about looking stupid if she did not already know everything. The social studies project about women inventors turned out beautifully. It was clearly the work of an 11-year-old, with poster board decorations that were a little crooked and some information that was a bit surface level, but it was thorough and thoughtful and entirely Lily's own. She got an A-, and she was thrilled. Madison did take her to the library that weekend, and according to Lily, it had been nice. Madison helped her find books and showed her how to use the library's online catalog, but she did not tell Lily what to write or how to organize her information. She just supported her in learning how to do research independently. It was exactly what a step-parent should do, and I was grateful for it, even if it had taken a crisis to get us there. Benjamin called me a few weeks after the concert to tell me that he and Madison had finished their couples counseling sessions. Apparently they had worked through some issues about boundaries and roles, not just with Lily but in their relationship overall. Madison had struggled with feeling like she needed to prove herself as a wife and stepmother, and that insecurity had manifested in trying to make everything look perfect on the outside. The therapist helped her see that real relationships, including the one with Lily, are built on authenticity and respect, not on curated social media posts or artificially enhanced achievements. It was a lesson Madison needed to learn, and I was glad she had taken it seriously enough to work on it in therapy. I never found out exactly what happened with Madison's work situation, whether the plagiarism concerns flagged by her teacher friend actually impacted her career. Benjamin never mentioned it again, and I did not ask. It felt like something that was between Madison and her professional consequences, not something I needed to be involved in. What I didn't know was that Madison stopped posting anything about Lily on social media. Not just schoolwork, but photos and stories too. I suspected Benjamin had asked her to stop entirely, at least for a while, to rebuild trust and respect boundaries. It was probably the right call. As the school year ended and summer began, Lily seemed lighter, happier, more herself. She spent her time at my house reading books she chose herself, writing stories in a notebook just for fun, and working on art projects that were messy and imperfect and absolutely beautiful. She spent her time at Benjamin and Madison's house doing similar things, and when she came back to me, she never mentioned Madison trying to improve or edit or professionalize anything she created. One evening in late June, Lily and I were sitting on the back porch watching fireflies, and she said something that made me realize how much she had processed and understood about everything that had happened. "Mom," she said thoughtfully, "I think Madison was trying too hard to be perfect." "I think you are right," I said carefully. "Why do you say that?" "Because she kept wanting to make everything look really good, like better than it needed to be," Lily said. "But my teacher always says that making mistakes is how we learn, and if somebody else fixes all your mistakes, you do not get to learn from them." "That is very wise," I said, impressed by her insight. "I like Madison," Lily continued. "But I like her better now that she does not try to fix everything I do." "I am glad," I said, and I meant it. Madison could be a positive person in Lily's life as long as she respected her role and her boundaries. As I sat there in the gathering dusk, listening to the crickets chirp and watching Lily chase fireflies around the yard, I thought about how close we had come to a very different outcome. If I had not documented everything, if I had not found those Facebook posts, if I had not had the courage to show Mrs. Hughes the truth, the situation could have continued to escalate. Lily could have faced serious academic consequences, I could have lost credibility with her school, and Madison could have continued building a false narrative that served no one but herself. But we had made it through, and we had all learned something in the process. I learned that advocating for your child sometimes means having difficult conversations and facing uncomfortable conflicts. I learned that documentation and evidence matter, especially in co-parenting situations where perceptions can be easily skewed. I learned that teachers and school administrators generally want to help and support families, even when the situation is complicated. Benjamin learned that blindly defending his wife without examining her behavior was not fair to anyone, including Madison herself. He learned that boundaries are necessary and healthy, and that enforcing them is part of being a good parent and partner. Madison learned that being a step-parent is not about proving yourself or seeking validation through someone else's achievements. She learned that authentic relationships are built on trust and respect, not on appearances and performance. She learned, hopefully, that children need space to grow and make mistakes without adult interference turning everything into a showcase piece. And Lily learned that her own work, her own effort, her own voice, was valuable exactly as it was. She learned that adults are not always right, even when they think they are helping. She learned that it is okay to ask for help but important to maintain ownership of her own learning and growth. The whole experience taught me something else too, something about the nature of modern parenting and the pressures we all face. Social media has created this culture where everything needs to look perfect, where parenting is performed for an audience rather than lived authentically behind closed doors. Madison fell into that trap, using Lily's schoolwork as content to build an image of herself as an ideal stepmother. But real parenting, the kind that actually matters, happens in the moments that are too messy or mundane or imperfect to photograph and post. Real parenting is sitting with your kid while they struggle through a math problem, not jumping in to solve it for them. Real parenting is reading the 10th draft of a story they are writing and offering encouragement even when it is not very good yet. Real parenting is letting them fail small now so they can succeed big later. Madison had confused looking like a good parent with actually being one, and it had nearly caused real harm to my daughter. I am glad we caught it when we did. Now, as fall approaches and Lily gets ready to start 7th grade, I feel cautiously optimistic about the year ahead. We have all settled into our roles more comfortably. Benjamin and I communicate better about Lily's schoolwork and activities. Madison has found ways to bond with Lily that do not involve taking over her homework or broadcasting her achievements to the world. Last week, Lily came home from Benjamin's house with a new recipe for chocolate chip cookies that she and Madison had tried together. They had apparently been a disaster, flat and burned on the bottom, and Lily could not stop laughing as she told me about it. Madison had taken a photo of the failed cookies and they had joked about starting a worst baking blog together, but the photo stayed on Madison's phone, a private moment between them rather than content for public consumption. That, I thought, was progress. That was what a healthy step-parent relationship looked like. Shared experiences, inside jokes, authentic connection. Not curated perfection designed to impress strangers on the internet. The final piece of closure came at the start of the new school year. Lily had a new teacher, a young man named Mr. Ezra Bennett who taught 6th grade. Since Lily's school only went through 5th grade, she was now at the middle school. At the back-to-school night, I introduced myself and casually mentioned that we had had some issues the previous year with homework interference from a step-parent. Mr. Bennett nodded knowingly. "Unfortunately, that is not uncommon," he said. "I have a policy that all major assignments must include at least one draft that is completed in class, so I can see the students' independent work. It helps prevent that kind of situation." I felt a wave of relief. Lily would have a teacher who understood the issue and had safeguards in place. It was one less thing to worry about. As I left the school that evening, I ran into Mrs. Hughes in the parking lot. She was carrying a box of supplies to her car, and when she saw me, she smiled warmly. "Nora," she said, setting down her box to give me a hug. "How are you?" "How is Lily?" "We are good," I said. "Really good. Thank you for everything you did last year. I do not think we would have gotten through that situation without your support." Mrs. Hughes waved a hand dismissively. "I was just doing my job," she said. "But I'm glad it worked out. Lily is a special kid, and she deserves to have adults in her life who support her growth rather than trying to control it." "She does," I agreed. "And I think we are all in a better place now." As I drove home that evening, I thought about how much can change in just a few months. 6 months ago, I had been terrified that I was going to lose credibility as a parent, that Lily's education was going to suffer, that Madison's interference was going to cause lasting damage. Now, those fears felt distant and manageable. We had faced the problem, addressed it directly, and come out stronger on the other side. I am not naive enough to think that co-parenting will always be smooth sailing from here on out. There will be other challenges, other conflicts, other moments where Benjamin and I disagree about what is best for Lily. There will probably be times when Madison oversteps again, because old habits die hard and boundaries have to be continuously reinforced. But I know now that I can handle it. I know that I have the courage to speak up when something is not right. I know that documentation and evidence matter. I know that teachers and administrators are allies, not adversaries. I know that fighting for my daughter's well-being is always worth whatever discomfort or conflict it might cause. Most importantly, I know that Lily is going to be okay. She is resilient and smart and creative, and she has learned some valuable lessons about authenticity and independence that will serve her well throughout her life. She knows now that her own voice matters, that her own work has value, that she does not need to be perfect to be worthy. And really, that is what this whole ordeal was about. Not grades or homework or Facebook posts, but helping my daughter become her authentic self without interference or artificial enhancement. Madison's well-meaning but misguided attempts to make everything perfect nearly derailed that process, but in the end, Lily came through it with a stronger sense of who she is and what she is capable of. As I pulled into my driveway and saw Lily waiting for me on the front porch, her backpack beside her and a book in her hands, I felt a deep sense of peace. This was my daughter, exactly as she was meant to be. Not perfect, not polished, not performing for anyone's approval. Just herself, and that was more than enough. Tonight we would make dinner together, probably something simple like spaghetti or tacos. Lily would tell me about her first day at her new school, about her teachers and her classes and which of her friends were in her lunch period. Later, she would do her homework at the kitchen table while I cleaned up, and if she asked for help, I would answer her questions without taking over. Her work would be hers, messy and imperfect and absolutely perfect in its authenticity. And if Madison ever tried to interfere again, if she ever tried to rewrite or edit or enhance Lily's work to make it more impressive, I would know exactly what to do. I would document it, address it directly, and protect my daughter's right to her own education and her own growth. Because that is what mothers do. We fight for our children, even when it is hard, even when it causes conflict, even when we are shaking with fear and doubt. We fight because they are worth it, because their future is worth it, because the truth matters more than keeping the peace. I got out of the car and walked up to the porch where Lily was waiting. She looked up from her book and smiled at me, and in that smile I saw everything I had been fighting for. My daughter, my brave and creative and beautifully imperfect daughter, ready to take on the world in her own way and on her own terms. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that we were going to be just fine.